as I have there,
Mm-hmm.
because when you're getting the nuts that are cooked in a lot of oils, they're usually highly processed oils. And as in a previous show, we talked about some of the bad fats and how they cause pain and inflammation. We don't
Sure.
want those
The
processed
trans
oils.
fats, yeah.
And then I brought one
Yeah.
more snack idea, something that my dad likes. It's not my thing,
Mm-hmm.
but to take some sardines and spread them on a cracker at night, that would be another balanced bedtime snack.
My mother loves sardines also.
You know,
I
they're
don't
very
know.
healthy if you like them,
Mhm.
but I always say life's too short. We need to enjoy our food. So if it's not your thing, choose one of the others.
Right. It looks like a good selection, though.
Mhm.
I know I take a little bit of an apple, and I slice it up, and I warm it up.
Yeah.
And I just take cinnamon, not with the sugar, but I just take the cinnamon and put a little bit on there. It's almost like having a little of my own apple pie without the pie crust. And
That's
you know,
interesting you said, well, I guess
yeah.
it's the season, but just a couple weeks ago I did that for the kids.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
that was I had done it before in my younger years, but it was the first time I did it for the kids, and it was like eating apple pie without the crust. It was so good. And what I did too was drizzle it with butter.
Oh,
That
okay.
way you get some healthy fat. Remember, you want the carbohydrate that
Right.
brings your blood sugar up, but then the fat to stabilize it. And it tastes even better.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So those are really great recommendations to have a little snack before bed. So.
And a lot of times that goes a real long way for a lot of people. Now, if you find that you've implemented that and you're still struggling with some sleep problems, oftentimes I find that the next step is adding some magnesium
Okay.
in a supplement form. 62% of adult Americans are deficient in magnesium. So
Okay.
the odds are you could very well be deficient. And magnesium is something that can really help aid in a restful night's sleep, in part because it helps relax our muscles. And some people, their muscles never relax enough to allow their body to get into that deep stage of sleep
Yes.
where
Yes.
they can stay asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So magnesium is a good place to try next if the balanced bedtime snack doesn't quite do it. Typically 400 to 600 milligrams taken at bedtime.
Sure. So that as a supplement at night. You know. Now, would you recommend they take that with milk or just water?
Just water.
Okay.
That's a great question. Milk, you know, most Americans today are drinking either skim or 1%.
Sure.
And when you think about that or read the nutrition label on that, pretty much all you have left after you take out that healthy fat is the milk sugar.
Yes.
So probably if they're going to take it with milk, then they're playing with that blood sugar a little bit. So I would say just water.
Okay.
And I should say too, while we're on the topic, magnesium glycinate. So magnesium glycinate is the best absorbable form. You'll find that a lot of stores are selling magnesium oxide,
Oh, okay.
and it's cheap to make, but it doesn't actually absorb. It just kind of sits in your stomach, so
Oh,
you want the glycinate.
make sure you get the glycinate. Yeah, that's great. Okay, well, we talk a lot about, sleeping, and I know we need to get in that realm sleep, that deep, deep sleep for our bodies to, kind of heal itself and the cells and such like that. So besides fatigue, what short-term health problems can a lack of sleep cause?
The cravings,
Okay.
and I kind of mentioned that before, but because of the imbalance that it can create with your hormones when you're not getting enough sleep, oftentimes people will have cravings, and that then can lead to weight gain down the road. The memory loss, the brain fog, irritability is another huge one. You know, if you have young kids at home and you're finding that you just don't quite have the patience with them.
Or even your partners.
And your spouse, exactly. Stop and
So-
think how many hours of sleep you're getting a night, because again, you really need those 8 to 9 hours for adults.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds really good. I know. And I know we all love to have a little bit of snack. And it's not that we're depriving you of something, but just making better choices would be really
Right.
good.
And there's
I thought I
nothing
did.
wrong with eating at bedtime. I often have that question, especially from the females when they come in to my office and I talk about a bedtime snack. They'll make a comment how they heard you shouldn't eat after 6 or 7 o'clock.
Sure.
Really not a lot of science behind that statement. If
Okay.
you go to bed and eat a balanced bedtime snack right before bed, like I said, better sleep because you stabilize your blood sugars. Now, on the other hand, if you're eating the cold cereal or the popcorn like you mentioned right before bedtime, because that spikes your blood sugar and a high blood sugar releases your fat storing hormone, then you don't want to be eating right before bed because then you're going to store fat all night long.
Right.
But a balanced bedtime snack actually helps rev up your metabolism.
Okay.
in addition to helping with sleep.
Yeah. Well, what about people who suffer from chronic sleep problems? You know, it seems to go into sleep deprivation and, you know, the irritability, and then it seems to get more into not only physical, but, you know, their ability to do anything, a normal work day, something like that. It just seems to keep on escalating to that point and getting lower. So what would you recommend for, you know, them at that point?
Right. If they've tried the bedtime snack, they've tried the magnesium, then it's probably time for a one-on-one nutrition consult, because
Okay.
there are other things. We do have a lot of tricks in our bag, I like to say. So, we give out some ideas, but there's always the next step we can take it to. So there's things like 5-HTP, which is a supplement that helps your body make serotonin, one of your major brain chemicals.
Okay.
And sometimes that serotonin is the piece that's missing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that you really don't want to self-dose, and so it's better to see a nutritionist. Or sometimes it's a lack of balance between your progesterone and your estrogen if you're a female. So especially if you're perimenopausal or menopausal and you're struggling with sleep,
Mm-hmm.
you might need some progesterone cream, and that would be another reason to see a nutritionist that specializes, as we do in Nutritional Weight and Wellness, so they can really prescribe the amount that's right for you, because from one person to the next it can be different.
Sure.
And then melatonin is another supplement that we sometimes will recommend. And there's more and more research coming out on melatonin, and it's really interesting stuff showing that more people than we previously thought were low. And one of the more recent studies is showing that chronic cell phone use, hello, how many people can say that is them?
Mm-hmm.
Chronic cell phone use decreases your pituitary gland production of melatonin.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
I
So if you
never-
have an earpiece, use that
Mhm.
instead.
Instead of the actual cell phone up
Yep.
to your face.
Mhm.
Okay. Wow. Well, I know a lot of women who have friends who, you know, also have the hot flashes,
Right.
you know, at night, and, you know, things like that during their sleep, perimenopause and menopausal. And so that's something that you could maybe give a few suggestions on that level for them.
Absolutely. And one of the best things you can do if you're having hot flashes is to eat balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you drive up your blood sugar, and that causes a surge in your hormone called insulin.
Mm-hmm.
Insulin is your master hormone, and it dictates the level of your estrogen, and that's where the problem lies with the hot flashes, is that insulin messes with your estrogen levels. But if you can eat balanced, like the snack ideas that we gave here,
Mm-hmm.
you balance out your blood sugar so you keep your insulin, your master hormone, balanced, and then it doesn't play with your estrogen levels so much. And then the progesterone cream that I mentioned too,
Mm-hmm.
that's very helpful with hot flashes. I just had a client in last week, and she said, I can really notice, because for her, I thought it would be best to do progesterone cream for a period of 21 days and then take 7 days off. And
Sure.
she said, by the end of those 7 days that I'm off, those hot flashes really start coming back.
Oh, wow.
So we kind of switched things up a bit for her, because you shouldn't have to suffer
No.
with those hot flashes.
Yeah, they're not, I heard, are not very, very fun.
And we're one of the few cultures that suffers from them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a common thing in other countries, and
Yeah.
that's got to kind of connect in your head that there's something about the processed foods.
Yeah, the red
And
flag.
Yeah, and probably the lack of nutrients
Mm-hmm.
that goes along with that.
Yeah, it seems as if a lot of the nutrients isn't in the quality of the food that it used to be.
Right,
You
well,
know.
when you start processing these things, I mean, just the fact of taking that kernel of wheat and removing the bran and the germ to make the soft white bread, or, the pancake or the cold cereal,
Mm-hmm.
you've removed all the good stuff, and what you have left is sugar. So you're right, our processed foods have lost a lot of nutrients over
Yeah.
the years.
So, well, I heard on the news that teenagers may be going to bed, but they also are staying awake, texting and talking with their friends. After the parents think that their lights are out, and they're now, of course, they're falling asleep at school. And I was just wondering, basically, what should a parent do? You need to trust your child, but then again, at the same time, they might undermine you a little bit.
You need to look out for their well-being.
Exactly.
Right. In the past, probably 2 weeks, I've had 2 parents tell me stories of how they caught their child